Hi, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Marnie. We're two broke teachers who love to travel. Our years of experience traveling on a budget have given us insight into the best and most affordable ways to see the world. Now, we want to share our adventures and knowledge with you.
Follow along as we share tips, tricks, and hacks to help you travel the world without breaking the bank. This is Broke Teacher Travel Podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Broke Teachers Travel Podcast. I'm Marnie.
And I'm Jeff.
And today we're going to talk about 15 things you need to know before you go on a road trip.
Road trips, man, that's a blast from the past. It's something we used to do a lot more with when we had young children than we do now, but still a good road trip.
I still love them.
You know, one of the first things I like to do is decide if you want to take the more scenic route or the fastest route to the destination.
Yeah, I think it depends on if you're more destination oriented or if you're about the journey.
You know, and either way, you know, one of the things that we were talking about this in my class one year, and I'll give a scenario, and I was talking about, well, you know, you've got some people that like to be scenic and go see all the nature, and some people that just like, and it was a theme park, want to get to Disney World. And this one kid had this brilliant idea. They said, well, why don't you go one way to get there quicker and then take the scenic route back? And I was like, oh man, that's a great idea.
Best of both worlds that way. Okay, one of the things I want to talk about is using the Gas Buddy app, something like that. I'm sure there are other ones like it, but use one of the apps that can help you find the cheapest gas. This is going to save you a lot of money. It will be very beneficial in a road trip.
As far as saving money, you might need to save some of that money because so many people live in regions where there are not a lot of toll roads and things like that, and some people are used to it. I know when we go to Orlando, there's a couple of tolls that we have to pay, but then we went to New York a couple of years ago, and that toll was like 10 or 15 bucks.
Yeah, it was a lot more.
And so kind of be mindful, look at, look online and see what areas are toll friendly where you could avoid a toll, but then also if it takes you too far to your way, it may not be worth doing it.
Absolutely. Okay. Another thing to think about on a road trip is make sure everybody's comfortable, especially the kids. That makes for a more peaceful trip. Make sure you bring blankets, pillows, games, headphones, anything like that to keep them occupied, to keep everyone busy, to give people a way to kind of escape some of the noise, and to make sure that you have, just comfort items. It's really helpful. And another thing to think about, when you're putting your little one, your infant, in a car seat, yes, the blanket is important, but make sure you put that on top of the seatbelt part and not under it, because that's for safety precautions.
Check the prices of renting cars. For me, if it's a long road trip, I like to rent a car. I don't like to put a lot of miles on my car, especially if you're like my son takes these huge road trips and like drives to California and back, and hey, it's better to just rent something. A lot of times your employer, I know as far as with teachers get a discount through a couple of different car rentals, just as far as one of the perks of being a teacher, one of the few perks. But, at $35 a day, $350 for 10 days, that saves a huge amount of miles. And all of those cars generally come with some sort of roadside warranty or something like that.
Yeah, and teachers, that discount usually comes from your school district's corporate code. So check with them and other businesses as well. It's not just school districts. A lot of big businesses have corporate codes, and they're more than happy to share them with employees. Okay, one of the things I would like to point out that you need to have when you're doing a road trip is a map. Not your old atlas, but an app. Download Google Maps or Maps from Apple, or one of the ones I personally love, and this is not an endorsement, just something I've used many times, is Waze. It is great for directions. It gives you the speed limit in the area in case you've turned onto a road and you don't see a speed limit sign. It lets you know if there are obstacles in the road or debris or anything like that, or if they have someone pulled over and you need to get over a lane. It's just very beneficial.
And one thing that, for me, I kind of still like to have an atlas or printed out directions and things like that, because sometimes you get to an area where there's spotty internet service and things like that.
Yeah, Waze will keep going. It'll keep your basic directions. You won't get all the extras with it, but it will keep your basic directions going even if you lose service. So that's a big bonus with it.
Another thing that's kind of cool, I think, is just with old school atlases or maps. If you get really frustrated, you could chunk them out the window and it makes you feel better without losing your phone. Not to say in my life, my stepdad, we may have lost an atlas or two on the way, but it was always something great. One of the other things, depending on where you're going, a lot of people like to take the scenic routes, and that takes us through a lot of natural areas, a lot of wildlife. Understand that, certain times of the day, certain times of the year, animals are going to be a lot more prevalent. We're from Florida, and I myself have hit a deer. I've hit a turkey. Or rather, they hit me. I mean, I'm not really sure. But just, a few months ago, my daughter lives in Mississippi, and they were going to a church retreat, and a deer came out of nowhere and totaled their car. So deer whistles, you place where at, Marnie?
On the hood of your car, like the outside edge of them.
Okay, and then, it makes a sound to kind of, get the wildlife out of the way.
Yeah. If you're driving out west, make sure you keep your gas tank full because there are fewer gas stations out there. They are really far apart and you don't know how long it might be until your next stop. So make sure you keep your gas tank topped off at all times if you're driving out west.
One thing going back before we go to the next point is we were talking about those deer. If you are in a wildlife area and there is something really cool that you haven't seen, don't mess with it.
No.
When we worked at Disney, there was some tourists from Japan that thought this was a really cool prop, and it was an alligator, like a real alligator, and I have to go shoo them away from it. So those kind of things happen. In North Florida, we have a lot of wildlife people don't even know about. We have bears around here, and so I've actually had to stop my car and let a bear cross. So, stay in the car, just let them go on and, go on your merry way. So that's important.
Yeah, it is. Didn't you have something about, you were going to talk about discounted cards,
discount cards.
I think,
things that you could buy at Sam's. Sometimes Sam's will have like a $100 gift card you could buy for $85. Some restaurants do this quite often, and sometimes it can save you like 20%. And so if it's somewhere that's, a Crackle Barrel or somewhere that's, they have a lot of those by the interstate. And, I don't know about other places, but around here they do. And, if you start talking about saving 20% on food throughout the course of your road trip, that really, really adds up. This can be helpful with food purchases, and also you could do the same thing with gas cards.
Yeah, and you can also get like the Visa gift cards. That's a great way. Buy one every, paycheck or something like that, and save up for your hotel and, other expenses for the trip as well,
You can put it in the envelopes just like I do.
Absolutely. Make sure before you leave that everything is up to date. All of your important documents, your car insurance, your driver's license, your registration. It's easy to forget those things sometimes. So just make sure you remember to put that new sticker on your tag and that everything's good to go, because you don't want to get a ticket for something like that when you're having a fun, trip with your family. That would ruin the whole vibe.
Does it really?
Yeah, it would.
Okay, we this wasn't Disney World, was it? It was Live Oak, Florida. But yes, our first trip to Disney, I managed to get one of those tickets. So that kind of sucked. Let's see, other things. Don't forget your grocery store's fuel points. A lot of grocery stores have those things, and it could knock so many cents off a gallon. I know that one of the ones around where my daughter lives, that we don't have so many down here, they have a really good
Kroger, fuel. Yeah. They'll save like $1 per gallon every, month or so. And that's a great way. I think when Dixie does it as well, and that can really save you a lot of money. Remember, if you're driving to Canada or Mexico, you still need a passport. Even though you can drive across that line, you still have to have a passport to cross. You will be stopped. They will kind of look at your car, make sure everything's good and clear, and they will ask to see everyone's passport that is in the car.
And mention what about cell phones in other countries that are on the border?
Oh, yeah, we've talked about this before. Your cell phone, you need to make sure it's ready to go in other countries. Maybe call your carrier and talk to them and see if it works in another country. I know ours worked in Canada. We just didn't know how to work it.
Right.
But once we figured everything out, it was simple and everything was back to normal. But yeah, do check with your carrier and make sure that it works wherever you're traveling.
Book hotels online. That's one thing that I like to do. Again, and there's kind of a sweet spot. What I'm finding out is that you don't want to do it the night of. You want to do it, at least maybe a month in advance. Sometimes you can get a good deal, the day of, but not always. And so I would just definitely keep that in
At
mind.
least a few days out.
Right.
Yeah, too far out, then you get the higher prices. But a few days out, you can start, unless there's a big event. Now, if you're headed to a big event, the prices go up the closer you get. So think about that as well. If you're headed up north, be aware that sometimes they pump your gas for you. This is something we did not know. We're not familiar with that. We have self-serve stations here, and we're used to pumping our own gas. And we were in New Jersey, and we had no idea. This person kept trying to pump our gas, and we're like, we've got it, we're good. And they're like, no, we have to. It is a state law or something that they have to pump the gas for you.
And being from the deep south, it's one of those things that it was a female, and she was like, I'll pump your gas. I'm like, no, I got it. And they're like, no, you need to get back in the car and I'll pump your gas. I'm like, no, I'll give you a tip anyway. And they're like, no, you don't understand. We have to pump the gas here. So just keep that in mind. And in some places, things are a little different, even within the United States, or a lot different sometimes.
Yeah. And something you love to sneak in sometimes is a snack.
Oh, yeah. I love to, don't eat them all within the first hour, though.
No,
Okay.
no.
That's one of those
We're
things.
guilty of that one.
Buy some snacks ahead of time. Get the special ones along the way. Again, it's a little more money. It's this and that. But how many times will you have a chance to, eat this snack that was bought in this location?
Or something that's regional.
Right. Something that's regional.
Something that, yeah.
I mean, if you want to come to the South and have chitlins or hog maw or something like that, then you're more than welcome to come down and do that. That's probably wouldn't advise putting it in your car or anything like
Definitely
that.
not. Definitely not.
But snacks for every member of the family, and maybe even do individual snack bags. We've done that in the past. So on the road trips, just enjoy stuff. Some of the great trips that we had was when we were just going through and it says home of so-and-so, and I'm like, oh man, or, they kid me all the time that there was a historical marker and we have to stop and see it, and so,
quick, distract him.
Yeah, they do that. Okay. They really do. But, it's, if it's one of those things where, if you're going to be up in Canada around Toronto and you want to see where some dude, somebody lives, or Shawn Mendes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then by all means, if that's what your teenage daughter wants to go see, then stop and see it. If you want to see the largest hot topic, if your teenage son wants to see that and it's 15, 20 miles away, enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
Make these things, lifelong experiences, the good and the bad. And like always, I've had problems with this my entire life, is try to relax, take a deep breath. Will it matter in 20 or 30 minutes from now? But that's a big part of it, is just with all, take a deep breath and relax and regroup if things don't go quite the way you wanted them to.
Yeah, it's so important just to keep everybody in mind during the trip. Do something for everyone, keep everybody happy, do a little something special for everybody. And it makes the trip so much more enjoyable.
And, and you have some just crazy road trips sometimes.
Yeah.
Marnie and I, when we were a young newlywed couple, we took a road trip with my grandmother and my mother to see my uncle in Mexico, in Texas. And then we took a side trip to Mexico. And let me tell you, when my mother's listening to this podcast, you will start laughing about some of the adventures along the way. But
like the sombrero that you had to bring back.
Or the switchblade that didn't quite work, and I got hustled by a 9-year-old kid in
It happens.
Laredo or somewhere, yeah. But it was good stuff. But those are the memories that 20, 30 years later, you're still looking back and enjoying.
Yes, and we still have the sombrero. We were talking about snacks a few minutes ago. If you have the opportunity, stop at one of the cool convenience stores. I don't even know if you would call Buc-ee's a convenience store. It's more like like a mall.
Oh yeah, if you haven't
on
seen
its own.
if you haven't seen a Buc-ee's, I was
You need
50
to
years
stop.
old before I saw one, and now I've been to do it 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, and we'll go every chance we get because it's really cool to let the kids go in there and explore because there's a lot to see and a lot to snack on. It's fun.
And there's all sorts of, they have their own specific food that everybody goes there to see. And again, a lot of times you're going to be in a car for 6, 8, 10 hours. Don't do that. Make a
Break it up.
Yeah, break it up, especially if you're traveling with grandparents or young kids. It's take a few minutes, whether it's at a roadside restaurant, or if it's at a park or a rest area, anything like that. But just get out, get the blood circulating,
Yeah,
and get
you
back
definitely need to do that.
Right.
Get out and move around. Another thing to do is to remember to bring a trash bag or some sort of container, because the cleaner and less cluttered you can keep your car, the more comfortable everybody's going to be. They make so much fun of me when we go anywhere because I'm like, grab the trash. We're going to dump the trash when we get out of here.
It doesn't matter where we're going, and we could be a Publix, and if there's a garbage can there, we are dumping our trash in there. And yes, we do give you a hard time, but it is a cool thing to make sure that everything's clean. It also, overnight, if you leave that in there, sometimes you'll get ants in there and things of that nature, or
your
spills.
Your car will smell like McDonald's the next day.
So all of those things. So, clean it out maybe not every single stop, but at least,
at least once a day.
Once a day, right.
Yeah, because it makes it so much more comfortable to not have to move around things and feel like you're just claustrophobic with everything surrounding you.
Right.
And one of the big things for road trip, don't leave valuables in your car.
Yeah, it's one of the worst things is to leave something in there and come back and your window's been broken in, you've been broken, or your door's been opened or something like that. Don't leave anything of relative value, anything super valuable in there. If it's an item that just is too large or whatever, make sure you cover it up, flatten it out, put it in the trunk, something like that. But people walk by and they see what's in your car, and sometimes it doesn't mean somebody's trying to case out your car, but I notice even sometimes I see something in the back of someone's car when I'm walking to the parking lot. I'm not really scoping out their car, but if somebody did have bad intentions, it's like, well, there it is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you can actually just like pop things in your trunk, like Jeff said, or cover them with a blanket, but try to take them in somewhere and just give them a home that's not in your car. If you're already at your hotel and everything, don't leave them out there, because they don't even have to break windows anymore to be able to break into your car. They can use codes on the key fobs. They can do all sorts of things to break in now, and you can't tell it's been done until you get there and your stuff is missing. So that would not be a pleasant way to spend your trip.
Definitely make sure that sometimes, like, I'll put my wallet in the console or in the glove compartment. Don't make sure that you take those things in the hotel with you, and make sure that you put those things in plain sight so you get them when you leave. I like to put it right in front of the door, so in the morning when I'm going, I know that I didn't leave something behind. So
yeah. And we were going to talk one more time. We've mentioned this before. It was a suggestion that our niece gave us. But if you're doing a road trip, let the teenagers drive some. I think it gives them some good experience.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And there's sometimes, even with my children, they're grown now, and I think that I'd probably be a little nervous to drive with them even at this age. But it's one of those things. It gives them confidence and things of that nature. And sometimes it breaks it up a little bit for you. And
it gives them a sense of investment in the trip.
Right.
I mean, if they get to drive, they feel like, okay, hey, this is my trip too.
And just enjoy it. Like I said, that's the big thing. Take a deep breath. We have so many road trip memories where Dad would get frustrated and I would blow a gasket over something, and that makes it miserable for everyone. And so please just don't do that. Take a deep breath, man. It doesn't, count to 3. Will it matter later? Say a prayer, just, whatever you need to do. But it's vacation. and one of the things we talk about all the time is we don't need a vacation from our vacation. Vacations should not be more stressful than our jobs.
No, absolutely not. They should be your downtime, your time to relax with your family and enjoy the things you missed during the week or during the school year. It's your time to reconnect. So use it wisely. As our daughter says, or used to say about money.
Yeah.
I use it wisely.
Yeah, and I don't, but that's okay. But I have to now because I'm a broke teacher.
Exactly. Okay, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up for tonight. And we just want to remind you that next week's episode is going to be about our daughter's favorite thing, packing.
Oh, yes. Since she's grown and married, and my last 2 trips, well, I've had to pack my stuff, or Marnie's helped me pack, and I get there and I don't have everything, and I'm like, well, so she sends us a list now, but
Yes.
packing and just there's so many ways to pack.
It's
so
the
many
way
things.
she packs, and
Right.
she's given us some great tips to share with you guys.
Good deal.
But we're also, next episode is going to be our 10th episode. So we're going to celebrate a little bit, and we're going to do a giveaway. So make sure you stay tuned and follow us, because there are going to be lots of posts on social media telling you how to participate in the giveaway. And it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. We can't wait for you guys to interact with us.
Now, am I paying for that?
You already have.
Oh, what? Okay. All right. I'm broker teacher at this moment. Okay, good
exactly.
deal.
But it's going to be a lot of fun, and we want you guys to really, chime in and talk to us. And we're going to wind it up like we said for tonight. Remember, follow our channel, subscribe, like us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Comment, share your thoughts with us. Tell us where you're going, where you've been, where you want to go, and let's get this conversation going. We love to talk travel with everybody. And remember, break the monotony.
Not the bank.
Bye, guys.
Have a good one.